Good morning. I hope that you are all well. Scripture today from Micah chapter 4. What does the Lord require of us but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God? Let us pray. Lord of the sunrise, unfurl this day before us as your gift. Stuff our hearts with thankfulness as treasure. The brisk new day, the hours yet to fill. O God, let all that we do with them reflect your love, that we may mirror back to your glory. Gracious Redeemer, you who were once a refugee, we pray for all without a home this day. Bring refuge and peace to each one, near and far, that your light might shine in dark places, and that they might find safety and hope. All this we pray in your Son's name. Amen. I now declare this assembly duly constituted and competent to deal with any matters that properly come before us. Committee on Business.
Thank you, moderator. Doug Kendall, Presbyterian Music Camp, every summer since 1976. We have a report from the Committee on Leave to Withdraw. That's been moved and seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, moderator. And the agenda for this Sederunt is as we printed.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Life and Mission Agency, please.
Good morning, moderator. My name is Christian Prasad, and I am the convener of the Life and Mission Agency. The mover and seconder for this report are Amanda Curry, Presbytery of Assiniboia, and Donna McElveen, Presbytery of Seaway, Glengarry. Last night, all but 6 of the 29 recommendations in the Life and Mission Agency Committee's report were adopted, many by consent. And we are grateful for the Assembly's consideration for the remainder of the report and its recommendations this morning. The Life and Mission Agency Committee is entrusted by the Church with the responsibility to animate and support the mission and ministry that the Presbyterian Church in Canada does denominationally through gifts made by congregations, the Atlantic Mission Society, and individuals to Presbyterian sharing. I'll remind you, there was a video that was shared yesterday morning that demonstrates some of what General Assembly's budget supported this year in Canada and around the world. I'll draw your attention to a number of resources. So that was one example of an electronic resource. There's a number of printed resources available at the tables outside. LMA doesn't print money, contrary to popular belief maybe, but I'll draw your attention to one page for Safe Church. You'll note one of the recommendations that was adopted by consent was to make it more public and accessible to see individuals how to identify if you need to file a complaint or a concern. There is the QR code, and you can take these home with you if you want to put them up to make them more visible in your congregations or ministry context, whether it's camp, a friendship center, a retreat center, or something else. But there are a number of individuals at General Assembly today that are assisting with Save Church. I wonder if they would be able to stand just so commissioners and guests could see if they had a concern around Save Church, who they could go to. You can clap if you want. There's at least 6, I think. So there's a few around the hall. Quickly, there are a few other resources. These were at the tables before. There are some more on the tables outside. One Mission, 2 funds. We just heard the great and creative ministries, that life-changing ministries and transformation that takes place at camps. Your gifts towards Presbyterian sharing help with that. There's more information throughout the report. Resource catalog and of course Presbyterian Connection. I'll be talking a little bit more about that when we get to the communications section of the report, but I think just a good reminder, I was reminded last night when PWS&D shared their report, that it's not just about numbers, it's about people. And I think as we're here gathered for General Assembly, sometimes we see the highs and maybe some of the lows or moments of challenge that face our denomination. I think it's great to see the various and vibrant ministries that take place, our partner ministries, not just in Canada, but internationally as well. And while we have our challenges, we hope that we can have a healthy dialogue and discussion. So on that note, I know there were a couple of recommendations that were pulled from the consent agenda. There were a few that weren't on the consent agenda. If there are any recommendations or if there's anything around referring them, please just note how they can be helpful or serve the church better. Moving on, I'll continue with LMA 003. That's permission to make necessary changes to certain policies. Canadian law, different legal requirements in various jurisdictions across the country, and human resources, best practices. We can see they evolve quickly. Seeking the General Assembly's approval for each required change to the standards, no matter how small they are, and the procedures of the church's policies delays implementation and makes timely compliance with the legal changes and regional requirements a little bit more difficult. So to ensure that the church receives the most accurate, appropriate, and robust support through its policies, the Life and Mission Agency Committee seeks permission to make changes and updates to the procedures of the denomination's policies that reflect evolving and differing legal advice and regional requirements to all the policies that were listed in the report. Of course, any change to any policy would be communicated through announcements in the monthly electronic newsletter, correspondence to the courts and ministries of the church, and webinars on the policy, which will highlight any changes. Moderator, LMA 003 has been moved and seconded.
Thank you. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Moderator, there are no recommendations in the communications section of the report. However, I would encourage people to sign up for PCC Connect, the monthly electronic newsletter, or you can get hard copies quite easily. Please follow the PCC on Instagram and subscribe to the church's newspaper to read articles about what is happening in ministries and communities across the church, across the country. There are lots of great things happening. You might recognize some of the faces in the room today from the Presbyterian Connection. It's great to see the variety of ministries that take place across the country and internationally as well. Sorry. Likewise, there are no recommendations in the congregational and community ministry section of the report, but I would like to bring your attention to the vital information in that section of the report about the ways that the denomination supports congregations and camps and other ministries through Presbyterian sharing, funds, and programs. All grants that are distributed are listed in this section. And on a personal note, I also serve as the clerk of presbytery for Calgary MacLeod. I have to prepare that extract minute that goes out with the applications. Last year, Calgary MacLeod received about $200,000 to support a variety of ministries, initiatives, and capital upgrades. I don't want to overwhelm John or Jen, but I'm sure many of us would agree it's great when we're able to give. It's better to give than to receive. But it's also nice to see how the gifts we contribute to Presbyterian sharing, which help to do so much across the country and internationally, can also be used close to home for needs as well. Lastly, I just want to draw attention to the youth gathering being held this August in conjunction with United Church of Canada called Collective. Spence Edwards and Jess Foy, who are both supporting the YAR program, are here this week, and they're involved with the organization of Collective. They're here to answer any questions that you might have as well. That will bring us closer to recommendation 6 around artificial intelligence. Moderator, artificial intelligence, AI, is being developed and deployed faster than we can consider the implications of its use. We have heard about the significant encyclical published by the Pope last month. Pope Leo XIV warned that AI must be disarmed to prevent it from becoming an instrument of domination, exclusion, violence, and economic inequality. He emphasized human dignity and urged governments to regulate the AI technology. This recommendation asks the Church to endorse the 6 principles of the Rome Call for AI Ethics, which are transparency, inclusion, accountability, impartiality, reliability, security, and privacy. We believe these principles can help the Church to consider critical ethical questions about whether AI is developed and used ethically and for the common good of all. And just to note, because this is the first time we've been discussing this, this is just the first recommendation. It isn't the last one. It isn't meant to be exhaustive, but to simply provide some helpful guiding principles to point to and start with as we might begin likely to add more in the future. So a recommendation LMA 006 is moved and seconded.
Recommendation 6, is there discussion? Microphone 1.
Hello, moderator. My name is Nolani Coletti, and I come from the Ottawa Presbytery, and I am presenting an amendment to LMA 006. This motion is based off recommendations issued by the Vatican in 2020. However, if we're going to cite the Vatican, we should cite its full position. In Pope Leo's recent encyclical, the ethical concerns around AI are much more robust than this, including environmental concerns that are not directly mentioned on the original 6 calls from Rome. We as YARs affirm that the principles of the Rome Call are good indicators of what an ethical AI system should look like. Yet, there's an obvious irony in this motion. The report on page 35 acknowledges that AI is already being used in our churches and ministries. How can that be if no currently available generative AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, meets the standards set out in the Rome Call? Without this amendment, it could appear that we're comfortable with that contradiction. We may say that generative AI helps make our ministry efficient, but how can we claim to be the church for the world while the way we do ministry is poisoning the world that we preach we love? The question before us is not whether AI is useful. The question is whether usefulness is enough. Christians have never measured morality by efficiency. If current generative AIs like ChatGPT, Claude, and Grok fail the standards we are endorsing, then we should have the courage to say that plainly. This GA was ready to endorse the Rome Call for AI Ethics yesterday. Then let us do so with clarity. Let us not pretend that the technologies currently available to us have already achieved the standards we are affirming. If the church cannot tell the difference between an ideal and a reality, then we have ceased to be prophets.
All right. There's an amendment on the floor. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Yeah. Microphone 2.
Susan Kerr, moderator, Presbytery of Hamilton. I strongly support the amendment. The Rome Call for AI Ethics is not legally binding and does not expressly include environmental considerations for data centers. Last week in Hamilton, Slate Asset Management tried to get a land severance for a data center on the Hamilton already compromised factory lands in some of the most economically and environmentally challenged areas of our city. The severance was stopped by the actions of the community, but we know the data center push will continue. And so for the church to take a clear stand both on the Rome AI, both on the Rome Call and the creation care considerations as stewards would help us greatly to enlist our position. As our speaker said last night, first we build the networks, then we have the speed to make the calls. AI moves so fast that we need to be in a position to just make the calls. Following the discussion on this motion with the amendment, if it passes, I will be making a motion to direct the LMA and church doctrine to create study resources for the building informed ethics for our church on conversations between the ethics of AI and the gospel, recognizing that we need a new way to deliver those study resources because AI is going to outpace it. But the creation care is absolutely an essential part of our consideration.
Okay, thank you. And that extra information is helpful. Microphone 1.
Linda Pennington, Waterloo, Wellington. First of all, I want to applaud the YARs. They bring great wisdom to this group, as we saw yesterday and today. I agree with the amendment. Just a nitpicky thing, the subject and the verb need to agree. So it's either systems fulfill or system fulfills, one or the other, whichever they meant.
Is that a friendly amendment, yours? Good. Okay. Microphone 3.
Thank you, moderator. I'm Michelle Alexis, commissioner from Presbyterian of Seaway Glengarry, and I have a question for clarification. I'm unfamiliar with the phrase creation care, so if someone could elaborate on that, of what it means in the context of this amendment, that would be appreciated.
Okay. Who would like to do that? Do you want to? Oh, the mover. Would the mover of the amendment like to do that just for a moment, and then we'll continue on?
We get the idea of creation care from the story in Genesis, where God told us to take care of creation. So it is a catch-all word that's a bit of Christianese that just talks about us being good stewards of creation.
Thank you. And remember, we're speaking on the amendment. Microphone 1.
I agree with the amendment, and another interpretation of creation care is the creation of the information. My son is a full-time author. He's got 8 books to his credit. Every one of those books and of books of every other author in the world has been plagiarized to feed the AI monster. He gets no recognition for it. He gets no royalties from it, and neither does anybody else.
Thank you. Name and presbytery, just, it's okay. Mike, yeah, it's just minor.
Gordon Forbes from the Presbytery of Lindsay, Peterborough.
Thank you. Excellent. Microphone 2.
Thank you, Moderator. Rod Thompson, Presbytery of Westminster. Moderator, I look at the initial position of this proposal and then the amendment, and I wonder, are we really taking the position into different places that don't really relate to the original motion? And by saying that, we are looking at the principles of AI ethics, the principles which guide the use of AI. I hear from someone else that they're going to speak to the impact of AI in terms of the centers that are built and those sorts of things, the implementation of AI. And I think we need to be cautious not to expand something too far by putting amendments in that actually dilute the original message, which is the principle of how AI is used and regulated. So while I very much appreciate the R's putting this forward and certainly listen to what they're trying to tell us in terms of how it affects our daily lives. I think this amendment actually dilutes the original motion, which is to endorse the principles of AI. And I will speak against this motion and ask the Rs to consider another motion which comes forward that will be a clarifying motion on how we implement AI within the Presbyterian Church. So I'm speaking against the amendment.
Thank you. Microphone 4.
Gord Brown, Presbytery of London. First off, I would like to speak in favor of the amendment and say that I don't really see this as diluting the initial intention. I think it's important. And the reason for that is because fundamental ethical principle is there can be no social justice without there first being environmental justice. And what I'm really heartened by is to hear the connections that people are making in this debate between social justice and environmental justice. Therefore, I support the amendment.
Thank you. Would the Yar who moved this, do you need to speak again, or are you good? You have that right, that's all. Okay, I'm assuming the Yars would like an advisory vote on the amendment. Yars and student representatives, if you so wish. All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? The Yars have advised in favor. Commissioners, all those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? The amendment passes. Now we go to the amended motion. Is there any discussion? Microphone 1.
Bill Patterson, Oak Ridges Presbytery. I'd just like to, there was a grammatical mistake brought up. I'd like to know which correction of the grammar we're voting on.
I think it's been changed to no current artificial intelligence systems fulfill. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, Yars and student reps voting on the amended motion. All those in favor? Opposed? You've advised in favor. Commissioners? All those in favor? Opposed? The amended motion passes.
Thank you, moderator. We'll move forward to LMA 006.
Excuse me, I think we have an additional
Sorry.
motion, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Microphone 1.
Moderator Emily Thompson from the Presbytery of Essex Kent. I have submitted a new motion that is in direct relation to the LMA 006 that is moved by myself and Alia Wooten-Radko. If we could get that motion on screen. The motion states that the Life and Mission Agency, through Justice Ministries, review the policies of AI use and its potential impact on the ministries of the Presbyterian Church in Canada in light of how AI continues to evolve and change, and report back to the General Assembly in 2027. The YAR are proposing this because, well, as we discussed, the Rome calls are good. They don't adequately address the full dangers of AI, and it is essentially impossible to fully realize those tenets within the current landscape of AI. This cannot be a single decision that we make and move on from. To bring forward one of the most prominent of the 6 tenets, there are serious security and privacy issues that will be ongoing among many of the AI interfaces. As I'm sure many of you are aware, any form of data uploaded into these interfaces now belongs to that data. And by using these interfaces, we give our consent for our faces, any of our personal documents that have been uploaded. And this is a threat to the privacy and security of our congregants as well as ourselves. Because many of these AI interfaces do have watery security policies, this leaves us to take a greater role in protecting that privacy and security. This is just one example of how the Rome Call, established in 2020, has not progressed in accordance with the development of AI today. Thus, we put this forward to encourage learning and discernment about how, even with AI's continual development, we can better understand AI in respect to the Rome Call and other ethical concerns. Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Yars. Hang on. Yars vote, and students, all those in favor? Opposed? And commissioners, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I'm sorry, microphone 2, you had an additional.
This is actually an additional motion, moderator, so, and it has been submitted. Sorry, Susan Kerr, Presbyterian of Hamilton, and the following motion has been seconded by Joyce Januszewski, Presbyterian of Algoma North Bay. Superior, I'm sorry. I'll just wait until it's up there. No, that's the amendment that was withdrawn. While we're waiting for that amendment, moderator, if I could invite everybody to look at the actual person who's sitting across the table from them and the wisdom that's contained in that experience. I will, as soon as the motion comes up, we'll present the motion.
There we go.
Thank you. The motion following on the wisdom of the court in the previous 2 motions is that the Assembly direct the Life and Mission Agency in cooperation with the Committee on Church Doctrine and in consultation with knowledgeable experts to create an interactive study guide on conversation between the scriptures and AI ethics with the goal of empowering members of the church to engage in timely, informed action in their communities and to share these resources as soon as they become available. The reason for the urgency is, as we know, AI is outpacing even the work of this amazing court, and we need to be able to build the networks so that we can respond as a community of faith urgently and in the moment. We would ask for help with this.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Pardon? Microphone 4, I'm sorry.
Hi, Chandra Mannix, Calgary McLeod. I just have a question because I'm the new kid. As there would be financial implications of creating interactive study guides, is there a process, like would this need to come to Assembly Council first? This is just a learning question, so please forgive me.
Ian Ross McDonald will respond to that.
I'll start, and
Thanks, Christian.
the General Secretary of Life and Mission Agency can offer wisdom as well. There will be implications. I mean, the Life and Mission Agency, the work is directed by the Assembly, so as things come forward, it shapes the ministries that fall under the Life and Mission Agency. So in cooperation with Church Doctrine and similarly with Justice Ministries, that work will require attention in terms of a study guide and the resources that they require. We'll be looking for financial support to equip those ministries or to animate them. So yeah, there will be some financial changes that will need to be made, I'm sure, and that we'll be asking Assembly Council for support to carry out the ministries that are the LMA is asked to do. But I'll invite Ian to share more, please.
Some of this work is work that would already be being done. This gives us a sharper understanding of where to begin to continue that work. So in some sense, there wouldn't be any new budgetary expenditures for much of the work that's seen. We have people on staff who have PhDs in biblical studies and people who have studied ethics and interpretation. We'd be working with the Church Doctrine Committee, and they have expertise in their committee. So we wouldn't anticipate any additional expenses related to staffing. If there was any additional funding that would be needed. It probably wouldn't be needed until the next year when we begin to develop additional resources beyond the basic ones, which we already have a budget to do.
Thank you. Microphone 4.
Eugene Hua, student representative, Knox College. I want to speak in favor of this motion. If we read Pope Leo's encyclical, he talks about a need for a measured and vigilant approach to AI. And I believe that this motion allows the church to remain vigilant and to continue developing its ideas and thoughts and approach and the ethics around its use of AI. So I applaud this motion.
Thank you. And would you like an advisory vote then, as you've spoken to it? Okay, any other discussion? Microphone 4.
Michael Brett, Presbyterian of East Toronto. I suspect that we're not the only denomination in Canada that is struggling with this. I certainly speak in favor of the motion and would encourage those that we are going to be empowering with doing this work to work collaboratively in an ecumenical way on AI with other denominations within Canada and across the world, so that we have a common approach to this. And I see that as being evident through adopting the Rome principles.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
Amanda Curry, Presbytery of Assiniboia. Just, moderator, to add a little bit of information based on the last comment. We are deeply connected through our ecumenical relationships through the Canadian Council of Churches. The Faith and Life Sciences Reference Group in particular has done some work on AI ethics. And so we have those connections, and I'm sure that as the LMA works through this work that we can also be consulting and making connections with other churches and the CCC. Thanks.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Matthew Rattan, Presbytery of Barrie. I'd like to speak in favor of the motion, but just also encourage people as we think this through, don't wait until some report comes from the Assembly. It's important that we do that work, but it's changing so fast. There's executives in Silicon Valley who admit they're not really even sure how it works. There are studies about AI specifically deceiving people because part of its function is to please the user. So these things are moving very quickly, so I think this is great, I support it, but let's not necessarily wait. We can actually do this work now because we need to in real time. Things are changing incredibly fast. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. Anything else? Microphone 2.
To conclude, moderator, in response to the comment that was just made, that is why as soon as they become available, is necessity. And from a pastoral comment, we have a lot of people in our congregations who already have difficulties with technology and with the accessibility that technology has, and that discernment is another layer. So these guidelines and studies would help pastorally as well for us to care for people better.
Thank you. Student and YAR advisory vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. You've been advised. Commissioners, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thanks, moderator. I'll go forward with LMA 007, which is the statement on rejecting Christian nationalism. Christian nationalism is characterized by the belief that one's nation was founded as a Christian nation. It teaches that Christians must seek control or influence over all means by which power operates in a society, including the government. And we heard an excellent speaker last night about the convergence between faith and government and power. The values it espouses and demonstrates, however, often fail to exhibit core Christian teachings, such as love of God and neighbor, or Jesus' teachings on the Beatitudes. There's a brief proposed statement on Christian nationalism in the LMA report at 5.5. Recommendation LMA 007 seeks feedback from the General Assembly committees and the colleges on a proposed statement rejecting Christian nationalism. Moderator, we would also like to add presbyteries and synods to the list of denominational bodies that we will circulate for feedback. So presently on the screen, it mentions committees of the General Assembly and the colleges. We would also like that, it has been moved and seconded with that addition of presbyteries and synods.
Can we get that on the screen? So circulated to the committees, the colleges, presbyteries, and synods for study and report, right?
That's right.
Okay. Discussion, microphone 4.
Moderator, Marianne McCarr, Presbytery of Seaway, Glengarry. Could we also add congregations or sessions as well? Because I'm sure that my session would be very interested. We've had discussions on this during our session meetings, and I think feedback sessions as well as presbyteries and synods would be valuable for the input on this, because a lot of us are facing these questions on the ground from our congregations as well. Thank you, moderator.
Is that friendly?
No, well, sorry, moderator, LMA 008, which was approved by consent last night, mentioned that in order to support the study and rejection of Christian nationalism, sessions, presbyteries, and other courts of the church be encouraged to learn more about how Christian nationalism is counter to the gospel and to the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. This is meant to be encouraging all courts. We're not trying to exclude sessions, but I believe it might be covered under the consent recommendation, which was approved last night.
3, please.
My name is Don Walcott. I'm with the Presbytery of Montreal. And I was just wondering, I'm a little unclear as what you mean by report with responses. I think without sort of an action or a timeline, I know this says January 15th, but I would just wonder if you could explain for me a little more exactly what report with responses are in the Presbyterian system.
My understanding, moderator, it's a common practice. We might have seen last year with some of the recommendations that came up around opening it up for intermoderators to be not only clergy, but also lay leaders. There was opportunities for study and reports, so there's the invitation to hear back from presbyteries, and I think that might have been at the opening page of the General Assembly reports. So that's why there's the date for some feedback.
So the report, and usually there's a letter that goes out, right? Yeah.
Moderator, there is always a package that comes after the General Assembly from the Assembly office that has remits, referrals, issues for study and report, and the document that will be sent down for study and report will be included in that package. And then the response really is up to the individual court, agency, whatever is being asked for that response. And it can take a variety of different forms, but it's really up to the responding group to respond appropriately. But all of this will come to, depending on who it's directed at, sessions, presbyteries, synods, courts, committees, agencies. You'll get all that stuff, and it'll give you some guidance on that.
And if I may add, point of privilege, it's okay as commissioners for you to remind your clerks that you know this is coming and you really want to make sure your response gets in by the deadline. Thanks. Okay, I'm sorry. Microphone 2.
Moderator Rod Thompson, Presbytery of Westminster, with reference to LMA 007 and the relationship to 008. 008 requires no response. It is to learn. This requires a response. I would therefore ask, as the earlier speaker did, that sessions be included in this as an amendment.
Okay, do you have that?
Moderator, the LMA has added a couple of courts to the motion. I think there wasn't a formal motion to do that, formal amendment to do that. Is that correct? So I think it was an understanding that you had wanted that, the recommendation to be listed slightly differently with the addition of presbyteries and synods, right?
I think it was slightly different. The mover and seconder were open to it. but it didn't make it up on screen or in the report. The way it was originally presented didn't include synods and presbyteries.
Right.
It is on the screen now.
It is on the screen now.
But I think in the writing, the report when it was circulated, I didn't think it had it at the time. Oh.
Is it because it's hard to get it out to everyone and get the responses?
I think it might be just hard to get the information back, but it's not meant to be exclusive or exclusionary.
Okay, but if the mover has okay.
Amanda Curry, Presbyterian of Assiniboia. As the mover, I would be quite happy to see sessions added to this motion, particularly because that means sessions will read the statement and discuss it, and if they add their feedback and response, that would be excellent. I'd be happy to let it go if the seconder would as well.
And the seconder?
Yeah, yes, the seconder also agrees with the mover of the motion. That's fine. Add sessions. Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, I should have checked with you. Okay, so then sessions, the colleges said thank you. So that's been added. Any, microphone 3.
Moderator Angela J. Clooney, Presbytery of Pickering. I would like to just note that as presbyteries are responsible and have various committees, like the Presbytery of Pickering, we have nurture and education and other committees. We would encourage, as we do with the other reports, that the convener of the committee recommended and talked about with that past study, for presbyteries and congregations to work together to share responses. The Presbytery of Pickering has done that with the last few reports, where we as congregations and sessions are asked to send answers into the presbytery, and the presbytery sends a response on our behalf. So it would be important for us to try that in our presbyteries as well.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
James Clark from Presbyterian here on Perth. I know we're kind of in some uncharted polity waters here because the motion keeps shifting and it's the original intention and everything like that. But the difficulty that I have some empathy for the Life and Mission Agency here and or the people who are going to receive these reports, because with that simple move, we've changed the amount of possible responses from the number of presbyteries and synods to the number of congregations that exist. And so if we're asking for a study and report with responses by January 15th, there's a possibility that there could be over 600 responses if you're including sessions. But if we just let the presbyteries kind of deal with it in that way, the responses are much less. So I'm just saying I'm worried about the flow of information and being able to read the amounts if everyone were to take this motion specifically seriously. And so that would be my comment. I know I can't speak against an amendment because it feels like this was the original intention, but I would be concerned about the amount of responses.
Okay, thank you.
Is that fair, Moderator?
I think because we've deemed it's a friendly amendment, it's there, but thank you. So you were speaking against the amendment, the motion. Microphone 3.
Pai Chu, Presbytery of Brampton. As I was reading this Life and Mission Agency report, I was quite concerned that something that was decided by what I would call our ancestors, called the Declaration of Faith of Church and Nation, part of our subordinate standards that would apply to this particular scenario, if I understand it theologically. And I don't know whether that Declaration of Faith and Nation should also be included with the documentation of this. So I just pose this as a question to the General Assembly. It might be just an administrative issue. It might not need to come under the recommendation, but I do want to encourage the Declaration of Faith and Nation to be included in this, because I think it bears some theological significance to Christian nationalism.
Okay, I've been advised that, of course, we can always read our subordinate standards, so it's perhaps understood that we can read this statement alongside the declaration.
So if the person doing the minutes could make a statement that Pai Chu of the Presbytery of Brampton kind of encourage the denomination and reminded the denomination about that, if it's possible.
Moderator, we'd be getting ourselves into big trouble if we started doing this. I think you either have an option to make an amendment, a formal amendment to include that, or as the moderator has said, the subordinate standards of the church are available to all of the church at any time. We would hope that as people study the statement, which is new, that is being circulated, that they would refer to existing statements that the church has made, including the subordinate standards. But I think if you want that to be specifically in the motion, there needs to be an amendment, and we will not be putting in our minutes that any commissioner suggested that we do this or that. Thank you.
And so with my mere knowledge of my presbytery protocol, is it possible for me to ask for a friendly amendment, or should I make an official amendment?
Just a moment, we're checking. So you're asking, I guess we can always read the subordinate standards, living faith as well, and that's a good thing to do. So I guess you're asking the mover and seconder if they would have a problem with, okay, I'm sorry, just hang on. Okay. The resources that are going to be made available will actually refer to that subordinate standard. So it is covered, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Microphone 2.
Matthew Bruff, Presbytery of Winnipeg. Just moderator, based on the last comment, I think those are the kinds of comments that we would have in our presbyteries or sessions where we might have a conversation about the relationship to any subordinate standard or other documents. And so I think those are great comments. It seems like there's maybe a bit of confusion about how study and report works. So I think we have the opportunity when we go back to bring those comments back, and if we think there should be changes to the statement or included references to other documents, that opportunity exists for us in the presbyteries to have those conversations and bring that back to the future General Assembly.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're going to have our guests present after lunch so that they can do their full presentation. So we're going to move on with recommendations.
Okay. The next recommendation we'll be looking at, moderator, is LMA 015, Appreciation for Gifts to Presbyterian Sharing. This is under the stewardship section of the Life and Mission Agency report. There's lots of good information and charts on page 82 of the LMA reports. The church has been blessed with many people, groups, and congregations that give generously to Presbyterian Sharing, which covers much of the General Assembly's annual budget. So some people might like to say, like, if you slept on it, ate at it, or flew by it, or traveled to it, you can thank Presbyterian Sharing for being here. Presbyterian Sharing also provides grants to colleges, congregations, international partners, and supports programs of justice, healing, and reconciliation throughout the church. LMA 015 asks that gratitude be expressed for gifts to Presbyterian sharing, and while it's not necessarily a controversial item that perhaps could have been moved by consent, we wanted to take that time to honor the contributions that are made.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Moderator, I believe that brings us to LMA 028, which was removed from the consent agenda. Bit of background. Overture number 1 and 2 were transmitted by the Presbytery of Essex, Kent without comment and referred to the Life and Mission Agency for response. The overtures have similar prayers, which is that the Life and Mission Agency develop an immediate plan to make evangelism inward the priority in its mission, in partnership with deeds, and encourage synods and sessions to do the same or to do otherwise as the General Assembly in its wisdom deems best. Evangelism has been a priority of the Life and Mission Agency for many years, and the response provides a review of the biblical voice on evangelism, the denomination's understandings of evangelism, false witness in evangelism, and evangelism as a priority for members of congregations, ministers, and presbyteries.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Microphone 2.
Candace Bahadur, Presbytery of Brampton. So I had an additional motion to
All
speak
right.
to this. Yeah.
So let's deal with this motion, and then we'll do that. Any discussion on 028? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. All right, microphone 2. Can we have it on?
So yes, I had submitted an additional motion that spoke to evangelism from the LMA. There's a problem that I see within the Presbyterian Church. How do we talk to others about Jesus in our daily lives? How do we talk to a person of the Hindu faith, a Buddhist, an atheist? This applies to all believers, especially student ministers. After graduating from Knox College, I realized this was a challenge for myself. I wasn't equipped in this way and found myself researching additional courses. I'm currently the minister at Heart Lake Community Presbyterian Church in Brampton, a city that has become very diverse, where Christians very much are on the margins. Brampton now boasts a population of over 80,000 people, 60%, not 20, not 30, 60% who are of South Asian descent. The largest Hindu temple in North America is in Brampton, the Hindu Sabha Mandir. On a Tuesday or Saturday, the average attendance for worship is between 2,000 to 2,500 people. With this in mind, the PCC has an amazing opportunity to share the good news with such diverse people. It is the loving, just thing to do, yet many struggle to verbalize salvation by faith in Jesus Christ. Peter writes his first letter that every Christian, not some, not just the elders, every Christian, be ready at all times to answer anyone who asks you to explain the hope you have. Apologetics is not about apologizing or saying I'm sorry, but rather about providing a reasoned defense for the truth and the hope that we have in Jesus Christ. So such a course would be would be necessary to have within the MDiv program. The goal is to strengthen the faith of Christians and to attract others to the gospel. Such a course would teach students to speak about salvation in Jesus Christ in the language and culture of today. And so that is why I put forward a motion that the governing boards of the 3 theological colleges of the Presbyterian Church in Canada be requested to review curriculum for the MDiv degree, specifically with the view to consider including a mandatory course on apologetics designed to enable graduating students to be better equipped for effective evangelism and report back to the next General Assembly.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone from the theological colleges like to respond, either staff or someone from the boards? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. But... And if there's a couple, that's okay. Of people, microphone. Four. We have our student rep and then 2, please. Yeah, stay. I'll just. Microphone 4.
Hi, Romulus Road from Presbyterian College. I think having such a course to at least be able to look more deeply into our faith and understand why we do believe in Jesus and have faith in him, it wouldn't be a harm to our Masters of Divinity students. So I would speak in favor of this motion.
Thank you. Microphone 2, the gentleman that was there before.
Moderator, if I'm allowed to speak, I'm not a commissioner.
Okay. You need a motion? Yes, I was the one who asked, but the Assembly needs to give permission. A motion to...
Moderator, Andrew Campbell, Presbytery of Halifax, Lunenburg. I would so move that the Reverend Dr. Ernest Vetnek be given permission to address the court.
I think we'll broaden it, just if it's okay with you. Just hang on.
Just moderator, just because of the comment, it might be better if the motion just said that either the heads of our colleges or boards of our colleges be given permission to speak if they're not commissioner. Would that be acceptable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so we're voting on them being given permission to speak. I opened the can of worms, but now you have to approve it or not. Is there a seconder to that motion? Yeah, back there. Please say your name. So we're Nicole Reed. Seconding, yeah. Any?
Said Nicole Reed from Niagara.
Yeah,
right?
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, microphone 2.
Moderator, thank you. It's easier than asking my wife to speak, but anyway, thank you. Moderator, so in the MDiv program, we have 30 courses. So there is limited space. We already, in Knox's case, removed the languages to make space for 2 DFE courses, theological field education. But if the Assembly thinks that this is necessary, they can take the decision and refer it to the colleges, and we can see what we can do. Thank you.
Okay. Microphone 4.
Thank you, Moderator. Robert Hayashi from the Presbytery of Oak Ridges. Moderator, I currently serve as the governor of Knox College, its vice convener as well. And I would speak not in favor of the motion. The Assembly may or may not know that the colleges do not just have its own authority to create courses. In the case of Knox College, they work with the Toronto School of Theology and the University of Toronto that grants, in partnership, the MDiv degree. And so the colleges are also bound by regulations that are set by the Toronto School of Theology and the universities that they work with. And so, as Principal Vanek has said, the colleges currently scrutinize their curriculum, looking for ways to be meaningful and practical in their delivery of the curriculum to all its students, not just the MDiv students. And I think this would create more work for the deans of academics and the academic committees of the Board of Governors to be looking at. There is great thought already put before it. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you. I'm going to go now to microphone 1 because I know we have a convener of the board of a college, and then back to microphone 4, and then to 2. And then go ahead, microphone 1.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Denise Allen McCartney. I am the convener of the Board of Governors at Presbyterian College, not a commissioner today. I really want to thank the mover and seconder for this motion and for their consideration. And I would encourage the court to support the motion, although I would encourage you to consider an amendment which would remove the word mandatory for the very reason of the previous speaker, that we are in collaboration with the universities to which we are associated. So in the case of Presbyterian College, the MDiv program is also in association with McGill. And so we are constrained by some of that. But I think that for the colleges to hear that the Assembly considers this an important area, we already are aware, but I think it would be really encouraging for the colleges to hear that this is widely held by the church and that we would be encouraged by the Assembly to do everything possible to help students become more fluent in expressing their faith across cultures. Thank you.
Okay, so just a note, she mentioned an amendment but is not able to make it herself. I'm trying to go in order, just be patient with me, please. 4, and then 2.
Thank you, moderator. Deb Stanbury, Presbytery of Hamilton. As a graduate of the MDiv program at VST, I was and going through that program at the time when Dr. Sally McFaig was our theologian in residence, I am profoundly grateful for the approach to constructive theology that was part of my degree at Vancouver School of Theology, and the ways that that has practically helped in conversations with people in the congregations, people in the non-congregational ministries that I've served, in their big questions about an evolving faith, their own evolving faith. And I don't know that apologetics quite does that in the ways that some of our other theology courses that have been very intentionally part of the MDiv program helps us to do. And so I would speak against this motion as a mandatory course because I think that there are other types of ways for us to have these conversations that are more helpful, both in terms of interfaith relations and in terms of helping people work out their own faith.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Mike Schomburg, Paris Presbytery. I don't know the logistics of fitting this into a degree and how that works and how that doesn't. But the comment that I would like to make is that in a lot of ways, it feels as though our voice has been chilled and put into the private sector, really, in the sense that we're very cautious about. We don't want to be intolerant. We don't want to be colonial. We don't want to be racist. We don't want to be pushing our views on anybody else. So I do think that our graduates and perhaps our current ministers, we need to know how we can speak in the public sphere and actually take a place at the table and have a voice. So in some ways, while we have all these things coming at us, like Christian nationalism, which is again another one that we have to be careful, because maybe if we speak in public, we're seizing power and we're putting ourselves in that position. So some kind of guidance that tells us how we can effectively, appropriately share the message of Christ without stepping over all these boundaries, I think would be very, very helpful.
Microphone 1.
Hi, moderator, Nalani Kaladi, Ottawa Presbytery. I am not a Knox College student yet, but I am pursuing my MDiv through Tyndale. And our MDivs are 3 years long. Having another mandatory course is a lot to ask out of students for a 3-year master program. Please have mercy on us. Additionally, I would like to also reflect on the word effective as a modifier for evangelism. I believe that needs to be defined as long as with apologetics. I think there's a lot of aspects of Christian life and what the mover of this motion is trying to get at that we do get through all of our other courses that we take for 3 years. Thank you.
Thanks. Microphone 4, then 2, then 1.
Oh, sorry. Kathy Stewart, Waterloo Wellington Presbytery. I would like to offer a friendly amendment, which is along the lines of some of the comments that have been made already. I think you could take out the words on apologetics, and it would still be, I think, convey the meaning of the motion. And the reason, and well, 2 reasons, I guess. One is it still conveys the meaning of the motion, I think, removing that. And also, for me anyway, and I imagine that some people here at the Assembly are not really familiar with that word apologetics. For me, it conveys a defensive stance rather than a communicative and also a listening stance, which I think are both important in evangelism. So that would be my reason for my suggestion.
I'm actually going to rule that out of order because if you take out apologetics, my understanding is the colleges are already doing that.
Okay, so, okay.
But I hear your voice all the same on that. 2.
Moderator Ross Lockhart, Presbytery of Westminster, but I'm here at the Assembly as a resource person for St. Andrew's Hall. Apologize, I was out in the resource area, so I've missed some of the conversation. I'd like to begin by saying I'm encouraged that we're having a conversation about how we articulate our Christian faith in a post-Christendom Canada. That's an important conversation. I teach courses on evangelism, and I think there are ways in a post-colonial lens that we can do this work with integrity. I am concerned that the language of mandatory is in there for all the reasons mentioned before. I'm also concerned about the Assembly kind of micromanaging curriculum of our colleges, as you've heard, that are set within diverse relational partnerships. I would also like to encourage the Assembly to know that all 3 of our PCC colleges have institutes that equip beyond the MDiv program. So Ministry Forum at Knox College, the Leadership Center at PC Montreal, and the Center for Missional Leadership at St. Andrew's Hall are doing this kind of work not just for future ministers, but for current ministers, ruling elders, and lay people. One last thing I'd like to note is that the language, as the previous speaker noted, of apologetics is fraught. Often for many people, it involves a verbal sparring. And within the world of practical theology and more narrowly missiology where I operate, it is not as common now to use that language. Witness would be more common, which we would define not just in the words spoken, but being, doing, and saying, to quote Darrell Guter. So our character, our actions, and our words all give testimony to the risen Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
Amanda Curry, Presbytery of Assiniboia. I will be very brief because a couple of the recent speakers have said some of the same things I was going to say, and they said it better. The word that really concerns me is the word apologetics, and particularly the context around this, how this additional motion came in a context of having neighbors of a variety of faiths and being concerned about our job being to convert them to Christianity. I would want to emphasize being able to learn how to speak about our faith in respectful ways in dialogue with our neighbors. And the concern of making apologetics mandatory is really problematic in my mind. Thank you.
Well, microphone 2 I saw first.
Laurie McKay from...
Just hang on.
I think it was number 1.
Yeah, 2, please.
2?
Then
Okay.
back to 1.
Okay, Laurie McKay from the Presbytery of Calgary-McLeod. I would speak against the motion because I think evangelism and sharing our faith is something that doesn't only belong to ministers. And I think that we need to equip all of Christians, all the Presbyterian Church, to share their faith with integrity and also with respect. So I would speak against the motion.
All right. Just a moment, please. Okay, I'm really sorry. We want to make sure we have lunch. So we're going to pause, but don't run away from the microphones because we want to have your names down so that we can be sure to come back to this if you still wish to speak. So at microphone 1, could you just say your name?
Sure.
We don't.
Bill Patterson, Presbytery of Oak Ridges.
Okay, and microphone 2.
Meredith Robertson, Presbytery of Kootenai.
4.
Susan Brazier, Presbytery of Montreal.
1.
Rick Manifold, Presbytery of Oak Ridges.
2.
Matthew Bruff, Presbytery of Winnipeg.
And 4.
Kennedy Mwashi, Student Representative, St. Andrews Hall.
And 4.
Robert Revington, Presbytery of Oak Ridges.
Okay, great. So I think we'll pause this. You have what you need. All right, so thank you, Christian. The Assembly is adjourned to meet again in the Second Student Center of York University in Toronto on the 9th day of June at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Let us pray. God of hope, you gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. Unite us as your beloved people. May we discover new ways to love and serve you. And we're so grateful for all of the people across this country, Presbyterians who and around the world who do work on our behalf. For each of our camps and their staff and volunteers and leadership, for Laura and the United Missions Nepal, and for so many other places. Help us, be with us in our conversation as we seek to steward well all of the gifts you have entrusted to our church. And be with us, nourish us, body and soul, in our conversations and in our food that we will share. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
And you should come to Collective 2026. If you are a young adult between the ages of 14 to 18, a young adult between 19 and 25, or if you are a youth leader, or you can encourage someone who you think has wonderful gifts that are not being explored, there is a display at the far end of the hallway and a plastic flamingo that if you'd like to wear or just hold and take a photo, we will present to you on our social media so that way those who gather this summer with us and our partners in the United Church of Canada, they know that you're behind them and their exploration of their faith, fun, and community this summer. I'll take another slide, please. And yes, take that photo, friends. You can email it to me, text me. Diane is down there with free books and resources that she'd love to sell you and is happy to take photos and send them along. And lastly, you may have poured your heart, soul, and mind into our brochure and you saw that the registration deadline was June 15th. Well, let me tell you, it has been extended and the registrations are coming in fast and furious. And I cannot tell you how much Sarah Williams from the UCC and I, the coordinators of this event, cannot wait to welcome you. So grab resources. And one last thing, if you are in an area or a congregation where there might not be young folks that you can encourage to go or leaders, you can offer money to other folks. You can offer money to the PCC coordinator for this event. And then we can serve many people. There are camperships at our wonderful camps we heard about. How about a sponsorship for a young person? Think about it, my friends. Let's listen to the Spirit and see how they are leading. Thank you, and enjoy your lunches.